Hurry home to Africa so you can kill them too. Their spirit shattered. Was it white society's rule or the fight of survival?
Preface by Vincent Colbert. So what is poetry? Poetry is the fire itself in the blades of grass that sprout up days later up from the burn. We do so much to prevent fires because they are dangerous and cannot be controlled. However, in our efforts to control it, we make the environment that much more ripe for fire. We make fires inevitable. Poetry is such a fire. It is a fire that burns without singeing the skin.
Charles Curtis Blackwell's The Epitome of Black on Black Anger is just such a fire. It is a fire that burns, and its smoke speaks of the psychological anger that permeates much of the black community. Charles is asking us to look in the mirror and confront our greatest enemy, ourselves.
For you have done me worse than the Klansmen, for I knew who they were, with hoods and red horses, even with streets, even with sheets covered on blood. But your mask, a collision colliding into my soul, causing my kindness to beg at the door of evil.
I interpret these lines to mean that the black man himself is his own worst enemy. We know what to expect from the Ku Klux Klan, but we do not expect to be double-crossed by members of our own community. Our brothers are supposed to be our brothers, right? Yet we know man cannot live on expectations, especially when people wear masks. Blackwell's line, "But your mask alludes back to Paul Laurence Dunbar, "We wear the mask," and the deception that often plays out in this game of life, especially where money and real estate is concerned. If we expect unity, black unity, we are often disappointed. Charles's poem scratches deep and is trying to give us a microscopic look at black anger. Is black anger different than anger itself? Not always, but sometimes it is different based on the psychological pressures that black people face. Let us look at why this might be.
If this poem were art on canvas, we know it would look way different at 10 feet away, and another way at 3 feet away. Is black on black anger any different in America than it is in Africa? Yes, for so too many reasons it is. This begins with the African American's acknowledgement of self. And once this is done, one must then complicate matters with race. The African American's appreciation of his own racial profile in America is a key component to his own self-awareness, to his own awareness of self. Webster's New College Dictionary defines apperception.
1. Conscious perception with full awareness. 2. The process of understanding by which newly observed qualities of an object is related to past experience. That object, for the black man in America, is his skin color. He is fully aware of it because he had to be. This is because black people in America had to be aware of what white people think. He had to be aware of this if he was to survive 400 years of slavery. 400 years of the niggifying of African peoples in America. In Africa, the black man is not consumed with race, but more concerned with his tribe or religion.
Why should he be concerned with it when many of the population centers in Africa are predominantly black? The black man in America sees himself as the universal self, as the Chinese would in China or the Indians in India. Race is not an African construction, it is a European one. However, the black man cannot easily escape the parameters of race in the United States. The black man has been mentally tattooed, branded, and whipped with race in America. Not only then is the black man concerned with the perceptions of whites have of blacks, but also he is relying on the unity of his own people to survive and thrive in spite of race and to assemble with his own people to confront it. Thus, when members of his own group fall short of this desired or expected unity, conflict and friction occurs.
This friction and anger in the black community is what this book is all about. It is as if Charles Blackwell deciphers some of the encyclopedic variations of anger within the black community. Let us take another look. But Bilal Henry grew blacker, bigger and blacker, now bigger with anger.
Echoes of Richard Wright's Native Son. Do many of our young black youth continue to play the role of Bigger Thomas in our own communities? Does America expect more of the black man today than it did in the 1940s? What does the black man expect of himself? These are some of the questions that come to mind when I read the lines of Blackwell's work.
The paper said he forced Ernest to get on his knees and beg for his life. And as for Ernestine, Lyle Henry slit her throat 7 times. When she uses it, Ernestine's blood is still on it good enough to create an infection in a cycle that won't be broken.
On January 1st, 2004, Jill Lovey and Doug Smith wrote an article in the LA Times about the number of unsolved murders in Central and South Los Angeles. This quote from that one article best exemplifies a cycle that won't be broken. As a result, the Los Angeles Police Department South Bureau, which patrols most of this part of the city, has accumulated a backlog of more than 2,400 unsolved homicides over the last 15 years.
This describes the terror of lawlessness, retaliation, and violence that plagues urban centers throughout the United States. If the police cannot solve these murders, where do people turn? They remain silent, and the cycle continues because we have seen quite a few instances where police departments cannot be trusted. The anger in the black community is like a raging fire, and then you put gasoline on top of it with the recent deaths of unarmed black men. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Walter Scott, etc. This poetic report is a looking glass for us to see ourselves and for us to take a close look at a black anger. And what we realize is that we can't only turn to the police or the government to fix this. We have to turn to each other to improve our own communities and demand that the government and the police do right by us. And now we have a whole generation of young black men who are being forced to face the harsh realities of black life in the United States. What do we learn from all of this? Reality whips everyone's behind, but you are not supposed to keep your in the same place. We have to get our sitter out of the seat, figuratively speaking, and play our little part in the big picture of confronting issues that plague the black community. And this is precisely what we must try to do, break that cycle. Perhaps after and reading, contemplating the numerous scenarios in Charles Curtis Blackwell's poem, we can learn to have a bit more patience with each other.
Research and findings. A letter from the blue by Sylvester Garth. A tear from the soul, a tear falling from my eyes alone. I muttered this hatred night after night about the people who I felt I was wronged by, and I grow hot with hatred year after year.
A flit of a memory goes by. No, It bulldozes through the trash heap that becomes my soul, my being, my personality. It all starts small, never large minds, started in the infancy of the year of our Lord, 1985. Like many children, I was happy to start my first year of kindergarten. The children all black and looked like me. So many smiles, so many dreams of bubblegum, baseball, chewing gum, grinned, laughter. My father and mother drove me to the school. My father and mother drove me to the door of my school and lovingly walked me to my class.
I never seen a difference in us. My teacher, Miss Holmes, a light-skinned black woman with a perfectly coiffed hair bun and some smart tortoise-shell glasses, who I was very happy to meet, met my mother and father with no issue. I realized my mother, who is usually outspoken, never uttered a word, and my father, who is usually reserved, done all the talking.
The class started and the day went as usual until lunchtime. I was going to play with the other children until Mrs. Holmes stopped me at the door with a grin and asked in a mocking tone, "Sylvester, there's no way that's your daddy, right? Yeah, that looks like your mama, but there's no way that can be your daddy. He fine. What's he mixed with?" I was stunned and didn't know really what to say. She told me to go on. Disappointingly, like obviously you wouldn't get it or too dumb to understand the wrongness of her accusation and strange question. But I did. This would be a long, ongoing thing for the black community. My family, friends, lovers, peers, jobs, social issues. Did I really belong to my father? It never dawned on me the ghetto nicknamed him Pedro. It never dawned on me my grandfather was simply called Mr. or even Boss Guard.
I was the black sheep of a very biracial family. I was the failure to attain their beauty, a failure of his genetic success, a failure to forever never be seen as just as intelligent, never as strong, never as innocent, never as justified, always on the walk with the dark side. For Christmas, an auntie gave me a skin bleaching kit and told me to just be happy. My hair too straight for a nigga to speak too sharp, for a nigga my face and eyes too accusatory for peace. I was the slave nigga in a free family, and a title to give to me a title given to me by two outside people. At home, I was just a son or a junior. These interactions would eventually splinter my family and end in divorce rumors and other opinions outside my house and not. We eventually did get a DNA test, and that then is now in no one else's business.
The epitome of black on black anger, a sociological presentation in poetic fashion. The bottle, liquor bottle, growing ice in the blazing hot heat of summer's August. All I need is the Jagger-broken chaos of the bottle to grip, with the sweat of my hands steaming, waiting to cut this cold.
In a cell, escape from cell block, coming to the mood indigo of moonlight over Vermont. Let me visit the one who did me in for a fistful of dust and a jarring smile. Laugh again to the narcotics that evaporates from your rusted pores. For I need you to hate me. I need to feel your every bite, your every little bitter bit. For you have done me worse than the Klansmen with hoods on red horses. For I knew who they were, even with sheets covering on blood. But your mask, a collision collided into my soul, causing my kindness to beg at the door of evil, wandering for days through the city's desert. Now I miss you and how I miss you. Departing waters fill my lips of liquor bottle until the glass melts in my hand, boiling over my skin. But even so, with breath I will dust you, moonlight linger.
Tell me another lie as I lay here with you, blaring so much over the trumpet Louis Armstrong tooted on. And will he take you to your death? Will he play for you? Will he play for your shame to me, which roam through my ear, causing my membrane to abort its compassion for your filth. Die, worthless lover, die. Before me, that nigga was a fool, enough to give your life in hand and crushes your ass against a railroad tie where chain gang workers once wept. And before I do come to you, immersed in anger.
Let me slip in once more, make you moan for your own wretchedness. For now it has become like to the survivor. Either I kill you before you kill me, and we have been at war with each other. Even before we met, even before we heard Louis playing a requiem of Mahalia, and that was way before we met. We, like some wee mannequin or magician, sit on the porch looking for crows to cast dice. Favors of greeds delight winter to take all.
Away from the burning trees that sweep our homes of glass, to see through the clearing, flames to come, my own prison built up different from yours. You can have yours, I got my own, blood hugging the bars.
Do you remember when we used to sit on the last pew in the old church house, giggling at the strange sermons, messages to God, spoken by a stranger, looking for a place to hide? We are now incurable, like blood dripping on the broken liquor bottle. Your blood and hope. But before you could kill me, alive, like fish frying, like bullets flying, like a knife cutting through flesh, slicing my hatred in two. A cell, bacteria, an amoeba, two become four.
The blues become sacred to the touch of a stringless guitar. Could I wonder how many? How many angry souls have I influenced? How many killed one another with no fear of the sermon running through their sweaty hand, pressing for the truth in defiance of a lover's agenda, a tarnished menu forsaken for self-preservation.
She kissed with honey smooth as satin, tongue of touch to the rose pebbles, the same as she left it. Belial Henry grew blacker, bigger and blacker, now bigger with anger. His hand could hold the sharpness of a razor and not bleed. That paper said he forced Ernest to get on his knees and beg for his life, but he would not. And as for Ernestine, Lyle Henry slit her throat 7 times, with Ernest bleeding over rain-soaked kisses, and Lyle is still. The razor shines in the trash can, oiled by blood and unforgiveness, about to be used for another execution now that 2 children have found it in a Chicago alley. Look, Mama, look what we found. And she is tired of a man beating her one eye blue, accusing her of affections of leaving across the street and down the avenue. When she uses it, Ernestine's blood is still on it, good enough to create an infection and a cycle that won't be broken.
It was down by the river where the fish was being fried. It was down by the river where I toted that pistol. With one intention, to let my woman know I was a man. To let my woman know I was a man. Down by the riverside where the fish was being fried, with smoke streaming a mile high. Gush of smoke and fish in the fury. In my mind, I sees I ain't to blame. She sways with the wind, bending her ass toward the sun's grin, going down. Near river's edge, where they was found, he looked at her thigh, and she brushed against his side. I saw it all, down by the riverside, with 7 children humming, fish in hand, their supper before her flower dress, the one I bought her to sway alongside the river. I shot her down by the river, and the children saw me doing what a man is supposed to do, with fish grease popping and knees dropping down by the river, where I shot them both dead.
Ground hard against the rock earth, Willie C. emerges with a gas and smoke. Hot links flying in the wind, tells her, you ain't nothing a bear would look at. You is what Monday rush hour traffic don't even see. She, Dorothea, tells him, inside the grown restless with the agony of a sick love, toppled over, strain, and pain. Well, if I was as dumb as you, I'd imitate a bullfrog and leap backwards. You frog-eyed, he yells, knocking over the glass of beer on the counter. His one fist grazes her left cheek, taking meat with it. Over and done. The other 5 people back up, some holding vodka, brandy on the rocks, ginger ale, and the glasses on the counter. Dorothea's head hit the floor, and one customer speaks, her head bounced. Willie C. looked around at them while holding her by the neck. Any y'all with me? I'll beat the out of you too. They listened with enchantment. Having never been cared for before, she groans with dripping pain. Willie C., in a gentle, commanding, lather-soaked speech, get the up. And she rises.
The sound of a money jingle, falling downward like Niagara Falls, falling. Yes, falling to that jukebox playing Lowell Folsom, falling over yonder. Next tune is Ike and Tina Turner. Blue Black Craze, sing Storm Blazer, with the hook on hand, cry, I am done, well done.
Kathy crazy enough to bet her money and win. The 2 fighters in the ring roam about dancing to fill each other out. In the terror of a one-punch shot, guess who? Kathy sips the beer with her medication first to go down slow, knowing she never won nothing. 20 folks at Shields Bar in the humidity of the St. Louis woman crazed me smooth enough to glide me over to South Carolina in the smoke of a sermon to serenade those green pastures, Smiley Tan, a TKO before the last lost punch. Kathy thought she had won. Her emotions rang out of her teeth, biting on the cigarette hard. No man to comfort her after the last split second. Through the right, just before the bell, and Kathy fell hard. St. Louis woman yells, Jimmy Rushing. From long before this jukebox could hold Ike and Blue Black Tina, okay, baby, pay up. He said, if in such a flamboyant manner, his blue-collar smoke hanging over, his blue-black muscles like an angel of death from Louisiana swamp bottoms, uprooting Bigger Thomas, her buttocks twitched from her anger of self to that deep compassionate hatred of men, like the one she stabbed 7 years prior, telling her to, or get the fuck out. The crowd laughed with the blue-collar smoke, building shame in the guilt, hate in the self, and ridicule in the compassion and pride. Smiles can be so deceiving, like temptation sing with such meaning. Smiling faces pretend to be your friend. Kathy came out of that purse with his finger on trigger of a roll of 20s. Rang the telephone up, rang a cloud of smoke, rang another ring on the phone, rang those bullets, and Kathy blasted away Blue Collar Blue. Black lightning and the laughter of blues people. JT rose up, a businessman, after the 6th bullet had been fired and fear struck, coupled with sadness. Someone else already rang the police. You could hear the siren blowing in the wind.
The funeral hearse, luxurious and shiny, to the fur, to the skin, to the sorrow, to the will I know. Mahalia begs for us to touch our soul, to let God speak to our ending, to our beginning. In this new young singer's voice, squirming from underneath this newfound ghetto breezing, enduring.
No more weeping, weeping and a wailing. She sings like ice shattered sickle, sliding to the smooth mill. No more weeping, weeping and a wailing.
That diamond ring raised high to stretch her fragrance, the same as Mahalia, a twitch in the ear and worried stiff. See that body riding high on the black hearse? That last ride, the last supper, in her mind, in my mind, speaks of what? Speaks of want. Preacher man raised his hand so high upward to escape the sky where the pillars meet, desires and loads of ceilings trapped, and it is moving as the deep waters. Just as moving as this new young Mahalia squirming through the ghetto breeze, the clock strikes 1 o'clock, jump, the weeping begins. The sermon blending with the sermon of God. A spiritual house, Jesus our helper, and a song for all precious souls, as in precious Lord.
There is no more weeping and a wailing. One could feel Mahalia being resurrected. They opened the casket and asked for any closing remarks in a diplomatic fashion. Alberta and Alfred James came forward and announced that the will is not valid.
We found a new will last night in a shoebox in the closet.
Y'all lying from hell. Someone, a cousin or a sister shouts, a razor slung that quick, grease light. One of the sisters charges after Alberta, not singing amen, hollering, "You ain't getting shit."
The brother comes to aid his sister with fists flying. A pallbearer tries to guard the dead, but his weight is shoved against the casket, which is knocked over. Dead man rolling over. A shoe is thrown. As fists fly, cousins against sister, brothers against auntie, uncle against nephew, eye blue, black, and bloody, fists grazed and bits of flesh, and cash money on loan, pallbearers bruised, beaten with brass knuckles, preacher with teeth missing, the New York upcoming Mahalia with broken jaw, her arms slit. Farewell, farewell to someone crawling under the pews, and the will I know runs elsewhere, past the troubled waters.
Greed, rage, and evil of self continues for the length of 3 rounds. None of the sermon was heard. A brand new suit cut up like a new thread. 2 pews broken, ribs broken, but the mind has stayed on money. Even fight inside a paddy wagon for reasons of want. As in, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. No one did other than he who rode out of the casket. Some in serious condition hoping their hatred would heal them. The janitor, after observing from afar, in wisdom remarks, these didn't come for no funeral.
The tools of remorse are set in metal. Orlanda's third abortion, and with pain in the immediate, just get rid of it. Or better yet, you should have known better. Flowers on the wallpaper. She didn't notice that either, only the cost. Michael wondered if it could only have been cheaper. He had bought her a car only a month prior to her vomiting spell. The computer calculated the edge. He had a good job, and so does Raheem. Milk for the mama. To match the conquest of capitalistic exploits, it would have been a boy. Doctor remarks in cold comic relief, "Down the hatch," as in down the river.
Which once led up from slavery. We have overcome. We have overcome. Or Lorinda can continue to milk. To 2 lovers or associates or partners of such, play me for the pocket, cold in metal, steel clamps, release me to the dust snorted, for an ease of memory to the dust of pitiful. Now it's easy to live with no pain, to remember my flesh.
When self-hatred is poured over alcohol, it burns. Narcotics mixed with that same vapor, it brings forth a new reality that love can't cure.
Your mama wasn't nothing but a shameless hussy. The grits conformed to the edge of the plate. Made in Japan 40 years ago and handed down tyranny. Down the line, down the Mississippi to St. Louis. With hook bites the cold in search of work. But drugs come first. In the foremost, to release the pain, to soothe the anger of venom, the challenge of the weapon to kill or to destroy. With to bite to the bullet. So Hook hit him with a pipe. The stranger in the cold, now dreaming, and remarked, "It is, mama." Probably wasn't nothing but a shameless hussy. The dealer raises his price, and Hook raises his pipe to steal, to steal. Feel the bullet, Hook, embrace it in anger, so costly. Let it sit where your auntie arrives to deny who you are.
The hostile words exchanged in a riff with pride bellow in the dissent. The knife drips sharp passages, orange juice withered, African cayenne pepper, perhaps he bit the dirt. On the homeless shelter floor, embarrassed and reduced to shame, his skin beginning to rot and brown. Turning black, turning blues. No one takes responsibility, just a simple act of terrorism overshadowed as group therapy. Dust sticks to his lip, atop the carrot pie for dinner donated by Muslim bakery, Wonder Bread donated to Hard Day Old, and oak and roaches and a rat patiently awaits. The mourners stand, once friends in passing, comrades, good enough for a cigarette, a siren sounds in a trumpet, the call is sounded. She weeps before the sheep becomes a part of him, and her other lover is now free to take what is hers.
His yuppie friend Brian couldn't handle the agony of his mother's screaming blackness into his capitalistic demented soul. Ice falls on the morning. He had already figured out a way to kill her. Double dutch, pass line, craps collect. Insurance rides on the loose brakes, old as the hills of San Francisco. Red light working, turn street. Pork barbecue ribs simmering to the fog. The nervous twitch of the cot is comforted by theatrics played by the son. Incooperative. I told her to take the car to the shop, but she never would spend any money. 7 days, times 7 days, times 7. Cash money that feels like mink fur in July. A self-help book to improve the mind. Bids on fire, bids online, taunted rehearsals. Telling tales to cousin. Another self-improvement book to eliminate the conscience. Acquire more mind power. A sip of 20-year-old brandy to ride home and sleep in mama's bed.
A crumb becoming smeared, rusted by slave hands, moistened to the slave touch. Peace in agony, as lies the president, reigning forth to carry you home. In ecstasy, where the violence becomes a fact of life. The truth before the lie, after the fact, and researched. The sunny side of innocence until proven guilty. She, Cassandra, sat thumping marbles against the stone wall, and he, Elroy, sat counting pennies, all in a day's fortune, robbery to the max, self-inflicted greed. Before the mule Duran AFDC check arrived, just couldn't doo-doo without a bottle of rum or vodka in payment for kindness of hot stolen meat for the same old fencing operation. Lust of the eye, moving blindness to the darkness trailing of steel bars gleaming in the dark and shining to the touch at the loss of self is where remorse is forgotten, transfigured by justice. Cell blocks of ice, cell block, bars crisscrossed, the mind unreasonable, in a state of greedful lust. Gimme.
Gimme got drowned in a cesspool of wanted, and envy came home for a second bow.
Swans freeze while rats are approaching to feed on that other dead bird. The Sacramento Symphony builds up into a crescendo of sorts. The rats finish the last little bit of a vulture's foot. The funeral was easy for the entire family to take. She devised a way to kill her brother. More cake, more cookies, heavy on the icing. Extra sugar in the coffee and the way this sugar diabetic brother goes. And the sister screams her Hail Mary as the symphony roams in her head. Yet she continues to count the insurance monies and still thumping, day-old blood included, the passageway north.
The hideout south, where memory leads us, in the stick of blood-soaked chains, gasping for home.
where memory leads us in the stick of blood-soaked chains, gasping for home. Honey drips murder, Congo drum beats for our soothing reign of terror, which follows the rhythm's of rum down the hour of escaping feet. Hollow is the drum call, bleeding for the sky to fall on us, to fall on this shining blade. In the night is suicide. To place it in someone else is having murdered my brother.
A desperate drip of sweat ushers forth to the oak pew, as played upon in the mercy seat at Mount Gilead Baptist. A note of relief from welfare, from unemployment, from screaming, hanging, and begging our neighbors. No one knows our name. Hear the wine in vats evaporating in the cold, fog for the alleyway, snow for the cobblestones. Await time and sit still before the hard-boiled egg rolls off the plate. And skinned alive, she never saw her attacker. The would-be assailant rides again.
Like night riders from long ago, we learn from our history now to inflict misery. Another ride by shooting. Women weep for your child, which your neighbors gunned down. Unknown without any words, implicated in thought. Yet, it was the hip thing to do. For a moment's worth of attention, blazing in the dark, the beat of the drum becomes haunting. The beat of the drum, not like the drums of a Philippine ceremonial dance with colorful clothing or a drum pound of Klansmen coming for the kill and cripple, but like a pounding sound that speaks terror about the chest and breast of a woman to man. A greedy, selfish pounding rhythm and without reason, which causes hope to become distorted by asphyxiation.
Hands beat out a pound until blisters burst and rum is spilled over. Historical rum, goatskin head, the haunting pound of slave catchers dressed in tribal dress with skin of brown, preying upon their people, their neighbors.
For thirsty profit of rum to satisfy their aching soul, to quench their malice. This cry is muffled by today's standard of mask-wearing colorful tunes, of peachy creamy tan, lemon yellow beige, smooth as satin brown, and how beauty is executed for reason of fear of you, and a deep, abiding, compassionate hatred of self. Rules allowing for the promise, neighbor to kill that one someone and take what you have.
Kill your beauty, kill your life, kill your spirit, and kill your breath. In the Who, we all excuse. It's so normal, so everyday, lifelike, one generation after another, running on the rum-soaked fields of liquid narcotics dried of ignorant dreams. Hurry home to Africa so you can kill them too. Their spirit shattered. Was it white society's rule or the fight of survival? Nevertheless, with rum running, we still drink of a spirit of greed and envy. The rum, like voodoo ventures, kissed by the devil, rum me until the mind seeks the absurd journey. Heretofore seen as taboo, how accented. You break my face, I'll burn your house. You burn my house, I'll slit your throat. Run, run. You slit my throat, I'll kill your spirit. You kill my spirit, rum, run. I'll drown your love.
Touch somebody's life with your goodness. Touch somebody's life with your love. Touch somebody's life with understanding. For that's the only way to show the master of love. Why don't you touch somebody's life with your goodness? touch somebody's life with
Yes, sir.
your love.
Yeah.
Touch somebody's life with understanding.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For that's the only way to show the master's love. Why don't you touch somebody's life
Yes.
with your mercy?
Yes, sir.
Touch somebody's life with your peace.
Yes. Yes.
Touch somebody's life with your joy.
Yes, sir.
It's so amazing how your own life will increase. So why don't you touch somebody's life
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
as you pass them? You may never pass this close again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not far. Reach out and touch somebody. You'll be surprised. You'll be
Yes.
surprised. You'll be surprised. Just how soon that same touch.
Yes, sir.
That same touch.
Same touch.
That same touch
Same
will
touch.
come
Yes, sir.
right back to
Yes, sir. All right.
you.
Cedric used to stand with me in between classes in the new school building in the hall, stare out the window, my head under his chin, and linger. He was more pensive than I. When I saw him in '92 on Manchester Avenue, he was dressed in his Sunday best, and it was obvious that he too had lost the battle with overeating, or maybe he was married now and just feeling comfortable within himself. The Cedric I knew back in '79 was so thin his chin bone nearly pierced my scalp, and big bony hands clasped my waist as he bent down to kiss me. That was a weird love, a love out of the blue. I mean, who was the skinny, tall, yellow, fine boy following me all over the school, making other girls jealous? "Hey, foxy lady," he'd call out in the cafeteria, and I'd be thinking, who, me? Is he talking to me? Finally, after weeks of this harassment, he asked me out formally, like at the bus stop, "Will you be my lady?" And I said, all shy, like, yes. Of course I said yes. How could I not say yes? He was the cutest, most popular guy in the whole school. I thought I'd struck gold, but I also knew intuitively that he'd be a challenge. I didn't know at age 14 that he'd show me so much of myself. Didn't know I'd be holding him in my arm, all 6 feet of him, as he cried over the death of his brother. Didn't know I'd be struggling with the as it tried to break my heart, or that I'd take pleasure in his body time and time again, just by rubbing up against it and pressing. Didn't know the power of a simple kiss. Didn't know how much I would miss him when I was forced to change my residence. Didn't know I'd have to wait so long, so very, very long, to be forgiven for this. Didn't know that a man or even a boy could show such tenderness, such gentleness, such depth until I met Cedric. And this is from The Sound, written by Allison Chokwadi Fletcher in 2003.
To Find Our Way by Charles Curtis Blackwell. In Martin Luther King's book, Where Do We Go From Here, he points out that of the millions of black people in America, there were only a small percentage which participated in the civil rights movement. The same could be said for the Black Arts movement, which flourished in the late 60s and 70s. The two movements represented the push, shove, thrust of black existence in the state of oppression. I'm interviewed Harvey, a university professor of social work and a family counselor, noted that people who did not participate in those movements usually managed to resolve their disputes without the problem of violence. Those that did not participate in the movements or cultural aspects found that violence was present even to the point where the child was attacking their mother and father and authority figures. King's title, Where Do We Go From Here, was speaking of the plight of black America and the direction of the black movement. Many people have said that if King was here today, he'd be highly disappointed because of the rage, violence, and disconnect of one another that now permeates black life in general. When in fact, it was the community and camaraderie which also added to the thrust of the movement and gave it such power. These movements became a threat to the powers that be. Che Guevara once said, "For in order to have a revolution, one must have a love for the people." So something did happen. I resided in Washington, D.C. during the 1980s. It was strange. The Negro flavor of the nightclubs, 7th Street, Georgia Avenue was still there. But there was something else there, an undercurrent. I was opposed to Ronald Reagan until I realized I had failed to understand an important message. His wife made a short statement, just say no. Later I realized it was like a secret message to avoid the death and destruction that was on the way, being the government drug plan. The powers that be were determined to halt any possibility of the black movement regaining strength, regrouping, or revival. So the act of genocide took place and has left a path of destruction through black America. The destruction of the individual, the family, and the community. The effects are here today in the form of homicides, suicides, robbery, and the list goes on. An R&B group from the 1970s was saying, "Where do we go from here?" It is hard to wrap our heads around some of the behavior that we hear on the news or even see in public. But we could speak to our neighbor and acknowledge them. Who knows? We might discover wonder in ourselves. The late Ossie Davis states, "Any form of art is a form of power that has impact. It can affect change. It can not only move us, it makes us move." After all, the turmoil, the torment of oppression, the human spirit is still present. The cultural arts move into the spiritual things. This power which Ozzy speaks of gives life, gives life, gives life.
Maintain by Vincent Colbert. Maintain, my brother, the flowers are singing songs. Maintain, my sister, the weeds are playing drums. Maintain, the plants are making love. And the grass is laughing at you. Because the trees tell the joke of the strain in your brain that makes your face look ever so funny. Maintain, stay sane in any strain of confusion that attempts to pester, to disturb your brain in any way. At any time, just laugh with them and stay sane and maintain.
Arise from the broken. Lover, Lover inside of me, come out. Come out with hands raised high, as if to give praise. Praise to the lovely shouts and groans from within. Sing. Sing until the sky is undone. Holding up banners. Banners with stains from tears sought in fury of love and sorrow. Here is where I lingered for so long, until dirt became clay, dry and hard, likened unto my heart. Beaten by life's unfair games, now being rained on, I continue to linger here where I bathe in waters, God's mercy. Within, holding me fast, I grasp all of it. And to listen to the hidden parts where waters run deep beneath your well-fortified heart. I have discovered with only my blindness a vein of sorrows which runs through your soul like that of Jesus and the woman at the well. Here lies the answer. Love, forgiveness, execution of expectations, apologies, of sabotage. If I can peel away one more layer of hard crusted skin, nicks to where the heart breathes, maybe then perhaps I will see all of you, even my own fears.
Before the eulogy, before the requiem is scripted on the front page of the daily newspaper, Charles Curtis Blackwell. Melody and suffering, interpreted as something those of class consciousness will not know about, other than razor-sharp incisions cutting into the spirit, which gives way for the climax to come by here, Lord,
and heal the wretched soul. Blackness and blues, excluding jazz, and day-old minstrel mans also yelling cuss words. We are, and have been, wrestling with this shit. So long until Train blasted the tip of the atom of injustice with Alabama. See the 4 girls being hauled out of 16th Street Baptist Church on gurneys. The division is that some colored folk could care less. So, come by here, Lord, and give reasoning. Dear Lord, for we are a people in need of healing. Healing in the hearts, in the mind, in the abstract, in the spirit of you, are my neighbor.
Cries and moans ring out from over the river, deep cries, the Mississippi, the Pearl, Monongahela, Missouri, the Sacramento, to the Potomac, the Carquinez Strait.
Deep river and crossing, the heritage of all those which have crossed these rivers before us. And shall we separate ourselves from the newborn thuggish gangsters, colors of blood-soaked knives, box cutters, pistols, shanks, razors, plastic bags, with fire, bent on annihilating all of us.
I have often wondered, just who do they work for? They celebrate the death of the movement. Thank God Train's music is available on recordings. The funerals rage on forever and a day over there, over the river. Yet, we know there's one more river to cross.
Hum, hum, humming. Dear Lord, drum song rolls slowly. Oh yes, freedom song runs slowly. Slowly. Down the river. There truly is a 12-bar blues beat here. If you be quiet and still you can hear it. Feel it too. It is our history in the culture. Up from cotton fields, rain-soaked muddy fields, shacks on stilts, and wells to draw water from. For we were not born out of the barrel of a gun, nor by computers, the mindset of arrogance.
Challenge what? A Mississippi missionary sister waved her handkerchief. Farewell to her grandson as they rode him down the Wabash onto the Dan Ryan. Shot 7 times. 7 come 11, craps out. And all over nothing. Maybe it was some cash, but not enough to write home about. Farewell, my baby, farewell. Surely there must be a Coltrane piece orchestrated for this 15-year-old child, and he wasn't even arrogant.
At the L train station, a drummer plays full set on the platform, begging. He is safe. Place coins in the cup. The melody describes the 15-year-old's life, hard pounding beats which create a crescendo, almost operatic to the touch. Casket closed, case closed too.
Who am I? Who am I to think that I can reach the arrogant apathetic, which have divorced themselves from Ida B. Du Bois, Bobby Seale, Rosa Parks, and Martin. Gangster rap is their spiritual leader, so let me give homage to them before they start blasting in my direction.
A DC night was packed. 2 horn players, thrusting out hard melodies. Young dudes, real people, following the likes of Train, intense, almost collapsing on stage. Speaking a language.com can comprehend. Biscuits, Black Eyed Pea crowd yelling, amen, brother. His last breath for the last note for the sermon. The drummer moved in, just like one in Chicago. A 12-bar beat in between African syncopated rhythms, screaming, Jesus is coming home.
There's hope after all. Roach is still in the computer age, a faucet that leaks, a rat gnawing on the kitchen pipe. Police, ambulance, and fire sirens yelling every 3 to 5 minutes, intervals of passion. But here, these musicians are interpreting all of it. Even political state upheaval in the chaos. 16th note goes faster.
So young boys and young men can do jumping jacks in an awful laundromat, with inches of snow outside Chicago, Philly, New York, kiss the blacktop earth bound for all creatures. Thought buttons to press would allow them to exit or seek existentialism. See the white snow, so pretty it is to cover the filth of the urban squeak, and still black on black anger melts the heart of loved ones dead on arrival.
No place for rap, hippity, hip-hoppity nonsense of calloused hearts. To sing about being bad. Motherfucker, for it is not a homie, a dude, a doe. It's not even a nigga, but it was a person. A human being which could only breathe the breath which God Almighty has put in him or she, the Lord Most High having created.
giving life to that individual to exist here on earth, which came out of a woman's womb, God at work.
Birth from a woman, not a bitch, but real people with soul and spirit.
Tambourine snacking sound. Second line fall into formation. Be it New Orleans or Los Angeles, Oakland, Baltimore, Chicago, it's the same. Black anger, bellowing, misguided fury, and it became by any means necessary.
So, in the absence of love, the horn player now plays a sad serenade, a requiem of lost and gone forever, the choir having already sung its at church house, Peace Be Still.
I'm wondering if young minds get it, or do they still satisfy themselves with text messages of, it was a whole lot of people at the funeral, the thrill of seeing a mother weep, a father crying, young minds removed from the gruesome reality of life in the real realm of death. All the second line musicians stand with heads bowed. Silence, please.
For someone has lost someone they cared about. A loved one, a friend, a cousin, perhaps a son or daughter, a 2-year-old baby. And it's out of place, even uncouth, to punch buttons here at a funeral with pants sagging.
Sonia is still sounding the drum, drum, drum. Words which pound, beat pound, attempting to break through the I, me. But black on black doesn't identify with us as us. Collective movement. Sonia sees Rashawn, Roland, Kirk sees Cornell, see. The question is, do they see with their third eye? Glitter all over the tennis shoe. That's all that's important here. Lights flashing, Coltrane left station. But Coltrane truly was young minds listen and you might see it too. Understanding, don't come easy, neither cheap. For we really are in need of a love supreme to cover our ills, our filth, our sorrows, our sins.
Sonia, sound the alarm. Call out the ancestors. Pay homage, E.B. Redmond. Let them know there's one more river to cross. So young hearts might grasp the effects of real versus unreal, God versus degradation, and give the drummer and horn player applause, for they are presenting a mirror, telling us we need hope in loving kindness.
Instead of a death wish for the self-serving, narcissistic mindset. Conclusion. This historical burden of brotherhood contributes to the black community's distrust of the powers that be. If I cannot turn to the authorities to implement fair play, then I must turn somewhere else. This leaves many black communities ripe for the anti-snitching campaigns that we have seen and adds another weight on the backs of blacks who are already carrying a heavy load. This leads to the all unsolved murders of the inner city at the hands of the bigger child who takes matters into his own hands. Vincent Coble.
In the garden, in God's flower garden, there are lilies, roses, tulips, gardenias, and daisies too. The beauty of the garden takes me to the beauty of you. Oh, mercy, oh, mercy. Help me to see the beauty in you. Oh, mercy, oh, mercy. Help me to see the love in you. Without anger, without strife, without violence, that surrounds us. Oh, help me to see the love in you. Oh, mercy, oh, mercy, help me to see the beauty in you.
The dilemma. The dilemma. Tales of crumbling to succeed in the tragedy of hope dismantled. A blemish played upon. Not boxcars, house of deuces, or craps out. But a life and death struggle. Musically, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 36 sixteenths. Hear that train. Hear that train a coming as in cold train. And that's musical too. Train adding injury to our tears. That's musical also. So eliminate I, comma, dot I. I of the self, off the selfish grin, creating eyes on injustice, eyes as in off the selfish greed, running so much so until insanity takes over hatred of love. Yield to the detour sign ahead, leaving vanity. To frustrate apathy, and moving hard against ignorance on molded blacktop. Still black, but not stillborn. A beam of light, equal to that broken white line, which can be boring to follow in life. Give into giving. Give into the art of giving. Give into the conquest of your soul, where dreams unfold. Give into love. Give into love and being loved. Being loved or who else. Give into charity. Give into the act of charity. Give into charity of the heart. Can we give? We as a people have no choice. Give or disintegrate. Give or disappear. Give. Oh, become. Oh, yes, become. Become the all in all. Become the past and the presence, in the presence of the all in all, our Almighty God, to become what God would have us to be. For we be who we is. For we be in the presence of the dynamics of becoming merciful. That beam of light which lights the way into mercy. Merciful to ourselves, merciful to one another, merciful to our neighbors. Mercy. which points the way into peace. A peace that surpasses all understanding.
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the world thy hands have made.
Yes, sir.
I see the stars. I hear the rolling thunder. Thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee.
My Savior God, yeah.
How great thou art.
How great thou art, yes, sir.
How great thou art.
Sing it, brother.
Then sings my soul, my Savior, God to thee. How great thou art. How great thou art. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation to take me home, what joy shall fill my soul. Then I'll bow down in humble adoration, and there I'll proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee.
Sing it, brother.
How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul,
Yes, sir.
my Savior, God, to thee. How great thou art, omnipotent. How great thou art, omnipresent. How great thou art, how omniscient. How great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior, God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Working with Charles right here, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that even though I did think that I was straight, you know, like, yo, I love my people, I realized I did have certain biases within myself that I didn't know was there. Like the way I handle myself when I go into a store, the way I talk to people just on the basis, you know, I realized that I had to check myself in certain areas, like getting rid of that word. You know, even if I am talking with my friends or whatever, get rid of that word, because we don't need it. You know, it brought up a lot of biases I had, how I felt about myself, about my upbringing, you know, because where I come from, even though we were all black, the worst thing you could be was black. You know, talking about somebody's mama was black. You know, your mama's black this, your mama's black that, she got short hair. How about we getting rid of that culture and we start talking about your mama's so black, she created society. Your mama's so black, she freed 10,000 slaves. Your mama's so black, she would have freed 10,000 more if they knew they were slaves. You know, I started, like, not only do we have to give each other, you know, these hand ups and just good words and prayer. Sometimes, hell, you just got to do business with each other. If you see an artist out there, give them your business. Give them a good word. You know, at least give them time. Like working on this panel right here, I had a guy from the neighborhood. You know, I see him all the time. I got him to curate some food here, and I didn't know. Out of all these years I've been seeing him walk around, this was the first time he ever had a professional job. And this was Erwin, by the way. He came late, but everybody was eating. You know, and I didn't know that his daughters was cooking all that. You know, this brother got off the streets. He stopped doing drugs and he invested in cake mix and stuff. And he's like making $5 here and there. And this was the biggest payout he got. Working this program right here, I helped somebody get married. You know, I gave them the money to get married. You know, and they're gonna go find their daughter in Japan. This is crazy that we got all these little problems that we don't know is there. And you know, I am deeply humbled. I am honored to have each one of these people here. Everybody here has touched me in a way that like changed my whole output. You know, I am deeply honored, and I'm ready to give up this microphone to somebody else.
All right, anybody else? Anybody feel the greatness of this work? Anybody feel moved? Anybody felt that experience?
I can say that I felt that experience just being here on the panel, and you know, reading this play and doing it over and over again gives me more insight also into just looking at us, ourselves, you know, looking in the mirror at ourselves, and really having that opportunity to change. And me being a Black Panther, you know, that's the revolution right there. You know, you see yourself, you change what you don't like. You become closer to each other, you unify around this. And we all know too well how it is out here to survive for us. It doesn't mean that we're prejudiced or anything like that. It just means that we have to take care of each other. We've got to love on each other. We've got to make sure that we can show folks what love really looks like.
All right.
I like that. Unapologetically Black, you know. It seems like that's an issue in our community today when Black folks celebrate, have joy. The system, you know, frowns upon Black folks smiling and enjoying each other.
Yeah.
So we see all the things that's going on right now, you know, in the news, how they attacking our Black leadership, our Black organizations. It's a lot of work out there we got to do. But anybody else before we go? I know somebody got a burning desire to say something inside.
I just want to say shout out to the amazing singers.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job, man. We got to get you a deal.
Shout out to the singers.
I've been working with Charles Curtis Blackwell for a minute, right, Charles? Yeah, we've been performing up and down California. In 2003, I was living in LA, and we did some work down in Los Angeles. So it's just beautiful to see the evolution of his work, and to have people read the work and to have song come out. You know, it's powerful. And today, I was telling Charles it's Toussaint Louverture's birthday. So we're celebrating Malcolm X, which is for us to kind of get some criticism of ourselves. We have to have some accountability for ourselves, right? You can't just do whatever, right? You got to be accountable to Black people. You understand? That's important. You can't just do whatever and treat us any kind of way, right? And so that's what I think Malcolm represents, is the accountability of the Black man to other Black men and to his family and to his people. And when he comes up short, somebody got to be able to tell him, hey, you came up short, you got to do better. That's why we don't see Malcolm. That's why they erased Malcolm in hip hop, right? The accountability, right? That's huge, and that's what we need. And that's what our youth needs, because we see how social media is being used against us to divide us. The black man against the black woman against the black man, the young against the old against the young. It doesn't make sense. How can a tribe thrive, right, if you don't get some wisdom from the elders? You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You keep what you can. It might not be everything that you like about that you like about old people. It might not be everything, but it's something that you could get.
That's right.
Right? It's something that you could get when you hear this brother sing, right? You like, that needs to be preserved, right? It can't just be thrown out. The tenderness in it, right? That's what I love about Charles's work too. We gotta preserve some tenderness. You know R&B is not the same. When I grew up listening to R&B, they was teaching me about tenderness, how to hold a woman, right? How to dance with her. Not just boom, boom, bang, bang. That's not creating any tenderness. That's not creating that relationship, right? And so we get angry at each other because the intimacy is lost. And then our women don't know how to be intimate either, right? Because it's not in the music. So, you know, that's why I love what Charles did here tonight and hearing this brother talk. And when we talk about San Francisco and the black community being forced out, how much could San Francisco benefit from a little Harlem? We got Chinatown, we got the Mission, we got North Beach. What would San Francisco be with a little Harlem? That would be a beautiful thing. Right. San Francisco would benefit from a little Harlem. And we would benefit too. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys.
Can I say something? Yeah, I want to say one quick thing. I had a quote today that I posted. It was pretty interesting. It said, if black folks could come together and love each other like we love Jesus, how much better it would be. Right. And I just think, leading with empathy, like the brother was saying, and compassion, seeing each other as, like you said, tender, love, and care, and not competition, not I'm trying to one-up you, not I need to shine, will definitely help us, man. And I really appreciate you saying that. I felt that.
Yeah, I want to go back to the part when Reagan's wife said no. And then it talked about the government, and the government was the drug dealer. Right. And that just touched me, like, yeah, where the planes come from, so it was genocide, but it was a different type of genocide to African Americans. And then, then it passed on to them, but it was really genocide to African Americans and then imprisoning them. Yeah, so I'm very glad that you did this. And so, we did this on Malcolm X's birthday was yesterday, but we have to do Mondays. So, on a Monday. So we celebrate Malcolm X, and this was all this stuff that was said, continuing to me, was of Malcolm X too. And so, after we finish, we do have food, and then we're gonna give back to the community too. So we're gonna take plates out and we're gonna give them to the people that's outside too. So just to give back. And thank you. And this John Henry did this from both sides of the conversation. Make that happen. Give them back.
Special thanks to Tina right here. She came to our performance. We did it at the Tenderloin Museum. And then she said, hey, want us to bring it over here. So special thanks. Thank you very much for Tina. All right.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say I grew up in the Fillmore. And I was a kid in the Fillmore. I threw papers, the Soul Sun Reporter in the Fillmore, and learned how to swim at Hamilton over in the Fillmore. When I was a kid in the 50s in the Fillmore, we had 3 theaters on Fillmore Street. Sure did. We had the Temple, you had the American, and you had another one over there. And I mean, we had our swimming pool, we had nightclubs all up and down the Fillmore. You had the Kansas City Hickory Pit. People were coming from miles around to get barbecue, dinners. We had our own community. But jealousy, envy, and not wanting to see our people survive and have something, took it all the way. They came in and tore down a lot of the buildings, moved everybody out, said they were going to bring people back, but they made it so high they couldn't even come back. But they stole our community. They stole Oklahoma. They burned down stuff. But the scripture said we are a peculiar people. And I learned another thing, a house divided against itself cannot stand. So we need to have each other's back. We need to have each other's back. Show that love. When I sing that song about touch somebody, just have a word for each other. See, when no brothers and sisters out on the street, have a word for them, have a smile for them. Because we are our brother's keepers. And I enjoy singing praises to God. That's been my strength. I'm 79. I'll be 80 this year. And I thank God. I still jog a little bit. I still take my ball and shoot at the hoop a little bit. And I thank God because he blessed me all my life. And so I'm proud to be a brother. They call me OG. That's fine with me. These my people. These my young brothers and my young sisters. I love them all. Love all you guys. So it's just an honor, Brother Charles, to be here and thank you and all the panel that did a wonderful job tonight, and just to show love to each other so that we can continue to build on what we have. Thank you.
And I appreciate that so much. Listening to this brother and Will, talk about bridging the gap between the elders and the young people. And it was great to see some folks who stepped out. But, one of the things to move our community forward is we do have to have our elders pass the torch. And I like how y'all are receiving the young people are willing to give back, because too many times in our community, we just lost the iconic legend of Reverend Cecil Williams. Too many times our elders hold on to the torch too long and they die off with all the information. And then the young people, they trying to figure everything out, and sometimes our community gets set back 20 years, because sometimes it takes about 20 years to figure out the connections, the network, and how things work. And I'm really encouraging everybody this year moving forward to how do we push our community forward to making sure that our young people get the right information for civic duty. How do we take the knowledge and the information and give it to the young people to move us forward? Because every other community is moving their young people and their communities forward by giving them the information early so that they keep moving forward. And then sometimes in our community, we lose our legends, our elders, and it's a stop, it's a pause. And then somebody's trying to pick it up and move forward. So I would definitely like to see that for our community as we continue to build. I love the song, Reach Out and Touch Somebody. That's what we try to do here at both sides of the conversation. Every community, we try to reach out, impact, do something to give back, trying to help the people. And if we all could do it, we all make a change. I see Jamil here from NCLF. They doing a phenomenal job impacting the community. And that's what it takes. And, like you said earlier, it's about everybody does a little bit. We got my brother Maurice Rivers over here, just did a phenomenal event in the Almighty this past weekend after the mayor's kickoff. Things was happening. So again, every little person in here is a shining light in the city. Every person in here is making impact to move us forward. As we all unite together to uplift each other, this is an opportunity, and it starts with brothers like Charles pushing us forward. So let's keep doing it, y'all.